Hey guys, what is up? This is Ben Falcon's Media Corner and welcome back to another movie review, and today I'm going to be talking about the 1997 fantasy martial arts action film, and this is the sequel to the first film from 1995, which I of course reviewed yesterday, and this is of course Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So Mortal Kombat Annihilation, this was directed by John Leonetti, and this is of course the sequel to the 1995 film Mortal Kombat, which was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and of course I reviewed that yesterday, so you guys can check out my views on that film if you guys want to know what I thought of the first film. So this sequel, again, this is based off the popular Mortal Kombat video game series, and this time around in the sequel, we basically see Liu Kang is back along with the other fighting warriors from the first film, basically challenging a new villain this time, which is known as Shou, played by Brian Thompson, who basically is out there, who's basically this big evil force like villain of sorts who's invaded our planet Earth. And basically, he wants to, of course, rule the world, of course. So it's basically up to Liu Kang and the rest of the other fighting warriors from the first film to basically, and as well as some new fighting warriors to basically stop him. So that's pretty much the story of Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So for going into the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I haven't seen this before, but I've heard about this before, but not really a lot because, again, I wasn't into Mortal Kombat that much. I never played the games when I was growing up. I didn't even know what it was about. I've heard people were talking about this before, but not this movie, but back then what Mortal Kombat was, of course. But then I started to play some of the games before with a few of my friends, as well as hearing about the movies and all that. I haven't heard much people talking about this one, but I heard what people have been saying about this one, which I'll get into later on. But I heard what people have been saying about, the 1995 film, which, again, I've already reviewed that. Like I said, I wanted to check out the Mortal Kombat film series because, of course, with the new one coming out tomorrow, which, of course, I'm really looking forward to watching that one tomorrow and give you guys my views on it after I do watch it. I can't wait to do that in a special way. Like I said, I've watched the first film, and again, I've already done my review for that, so you guys can check that out if you want to. So for this sequel going into it, I just didn't even know what to expect from because I've heard what people have been saying about this movie when it came out back in 1997, and I've seen multiple reviews of this movie on YouTube and all that, and all I gotta say is this sequel is gonna be one of the most laziest sequels I've ever seen for a movie in history. It's even one of the worst video game sequels I've seen for a movie ever, and probably one of the worst sequels I've ever seen, but it's not my most hated sequel I've ever seen in my life, because the most hated sequel I've seen is, in my opinion, Son of the Mask. Ugh. But, yeah, this sequel is one of the most laziest sequels I've ever seen. Like, the way it's made, its direction, this film, it's by John Leonetti. His direction of this film was really messy and too sloppy because it's mainly full of, the CGI effects and green screen, which the green screen is very, very noticeable when we first get introduced to some martial arts, kung fu fighting and all that. And straight away in the opening act of the film, you can really notice that. As well as for the effects, this movie has one of the worst effects I've ever seen for a movie in history. I don't think it's the absolute worst, because the worst I've seen for a movie that has terrible CGI effects is The Mummy Returns, which the CGI effects for that movie was really bad. This one is extremely, it's so laughable because the way they look, to me, the way they look in this movie look like out of an unfinished video game. Like, say, if it was released on PlayStation 1 or anything like that. Because the effects for this film is it's just really bad. And it's just really laughable. Along with its dialogue, with some of the dialogues are really laughable. Like the opening scene, which the character who, the way she looks and the way she sounds like she's a zombie, like she's some kind of a monster of sorts. Like she says, of course, this line in this movie, which I find it so laughable since I first heard it. And it goes like this: "Too bad you will die." That line is one of the most laughable lines I've ever seen for a movie, and even one of the worst movies to have terrible lines I've ever heard for a film in history. right next to The Room or I don't know, Showgirls, Troll 2, The Happening, or Attack of the Clones, or anything like that, or Plan 9 from Outer Space. I wouldn't say it's the very worst, because there are far more worse, cringe, terrible terrible lines I've ever seen for a movie. And the writing in this movie was really terrible and just really laughable, because again, the dialogue's really laughable. Like the one I just mentioned, I think it's the most laughable lines I've ever heard in this movie. And the action sequences, while some kind of almost a bit entertaining for a few knockout blows, but mainly it's mainly for its direction, which the direction is kind of like, there's a scene where we see Liu Kang who gets knocked out, and then when the camera's like going in and out, and it just looks like the actor Liu Kang is holding the camera and he's going like that. It just feels like that for me. It just feels like that for those kind of scenes. But like I said, when it comes to the actual action sequences, like with a few martial arts that shows up in this film, so they weren't just really that good. It's not as worse than the effects in this movie, which again has the most laziest cheap effects I've ever seen. And which I forgot to say, for the effects of the first film's effects, they weren't terrible. I mean, they were kind of interesting, because I kind of liked a few CGI for that one, but this CGI in this film is just really all over the place, really, and just feels like it's unfinished. Like, say if it's an unfinished animation or anything. But and the casting in this film, they all did fine jobs, but it's just, again, the writing in this film is really bad, and like I didn't really care for any of these characters in the sequel whatsoever. Like, it was great to see the original actor who played Liu Kang, or Robin Shou, who was in the first film. It was pretty cool to see him in this one, and I thought he's pretty cool for his action sequences. But everyone else, I just thought they were kind of miscast, and there was some recasting, like for the actress who played Sonya from the first film was replaced by a different actress, which, I mean, she did alright, but I just prefer the original Sonya from the first film. Everyone else, I just thought they kind of try their best, but it's just its writing and dialogue, which it makes it just really terribly laughable. So all in all, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, this sequel, it's one of the laziest sequels I've ever seen for a movie. It's one of the worst sequels I've seen. And it's not like the most hated video game movie I've ever seen. It's not the very worst I've seen, like number one worst. But it'll definitely be in the worst list I've seen for video game films I have seen. Because I've seen a few pretty terrible ones. And there's a few of them that I really enjoyed, like Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Sonic the Hedgehog, and all that. Those ones I really liked. But this film, not really. But if you've seen the first film, and if you've heard about the sequel, and if you've never seen the sequel, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this sequel, but that's pretty much all I have to say about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So I'm going to give Mortal Kombat Annihilation out of 5 stars. 0 out of 5 stars. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my review of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and let me know what you think of the sequel. Did you really enjoy the sequel, or if you're along with me, join the club with me. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I had a really fun time reviewing both of these movies, the original film, which I reviewed yesterday, and this was actually a pretty fun review for me to review the sequel. So yeah, again, let me know what you think of both of these films. And again, I'm really looking forward to watching the new one tomorrow. I can't wait to review that one for you guys. And I especially can't wait to review that in a special way. So look forward to seeing that video for tomorrow. And as always, this has been Falcon's Media Corner signing off.